Volkswagen's TDIs have long been surrounded by a cloud of stigma, a perception that started before the infamous DieselGate scandal. From their inception in the Mark I Golf, Volkswagen has grappled with the myriad of criticisms leveled against diesel engines. In the early days, VW diesels faced the same criticisms, some more valid than others. Volkswagen's advertising campaigns attempted to dispel these concerns, yet some certain inherent characteristics persisted. Issues such as sluggish acceleration, difficulty starting in cold weather, the extra weight, and the visible soot from diesel exhausts served as a constant reminder of the environmental impact of these cars. There was also the poor introduction of diesel engines in America, exemplified by the notoriously unreliable Oldsmobile diesel. Many Americans' first experience with diesel was the Oldsmobile, which was marred by the typical issues of the time, and these Americans were left with a lasting aversion to diesel cars. This initial experience was far from glamorous, setting a difficult stage for Volkswagen's efforts to promote their own diesel technology. Despite the numerous criticisms in the shadow of DieselGate, older Volkswagen diesels have managed to garner a dedicated cult following over the years. Enthusiasts praise these classic models for their remarkable reliability and impressive fuel economy. While they may lack the power and modern amenities of contemporary vehicles, these older TDIs excel in longevity and cost-effectiveness, offering a driving experience that is both nostalgic and practical. For many, these cars open a window to a simpler time, a time when drivers cranked their own windows and shifted their own gears. However, the DieselGate scandal inevitably cast a new shadow over diesel cars, prompting renewed scrutiny and debate about their viability and environmental impact. But with the advent of modern TDIs, how do these long-lasting criticisms hold up? Are the stigmas associated with early diesel engines still valid today? One of the most persistent criticisms of older diesel engines was their notorious difficulty starting in cold weather. This issue, however, appears to have been largely mitigated in modern TDI models. For instance, during the infamous polar vortex in Minnesota, where temperatures dropped below -30 degrees Fahrenheit, both of my parents' TDIs, a 2006 Jetta and a 2015 Golf Sportwagen, started without any issues, something that could not be said for many gasoline cars that day. In this example, it seems like diesel cars might have actually surpassed their gasoline counterparts in cold weather startups. When it comes to acceleration, TDIs can hold their own on the road. I've outpaced Civic SIs and keep up with some GTIs. The acceleration is smooth and responsive. While they may not be engineered for breakneck speeds, TDIs deliver a satisfying blend of power and efficiency that enhances everyday driving. Whether navigating city streets or cruising along the highway, you can confidently rely on a TDI to provide the necessary thrust for seamless merges and confident overtakes. This versatility and responsiveness challenge expectations surrounding diesel cars, proving that reasonable performance and efficiency can indeed be wrapped in one package. In terms of reliability, my experience with my 2011 Golf has been exemplary. Aside from routine maintenance such as fluid and filters, the only repair I've had to undertake was replacing the sway bar end links due to a tear in one of the boots. I did also replace the factory brakes at 175,000 miles, but otherwise my wrenching has been limited to preventative items and modifications. Extra weight is difficult to compare. From the sources I've been finding, a Mark VI GTI and a TDI have very similar weight. A GTI has different wheels, a couple suspension changes, different brakes, interior, etc. So it's not the easiest way to compare. But regardless, the weight is obviously close enough that it's not a huge factor. Even back in the day of the Mark I, the difference between a GTI and a diesel Rabbit was less than 50 pounds, with the light-footed one being the GTI. One common criticism of diesel engines is the smell, but in my experience, this concern is largely unfounded with modern TDIs. When I'm inside my car, I don't smell any odor. Whether I'm at a stoplight or idling in a parking lot with the windows down, nothing. The only time I notice a diesel smell is if I stand directly behind the vehicle or if I'm running it too long in an enclosed space like a garage, much like with any gasoline car. The improvement in diesel technology has made the smell a non-issue. I've had conversations with people who, upon hearing about the miles per gallon my TDI gets, immediately retort with something along the lines of, "But oh, they're stinky." This reaction often comes from people who haven't seen, let alone been in, my car. These misconceptions persist despite significant advancements in diesel tech that have greatly reduced the smell associated with these engines. Another prevalent issue associated with older diesel engines is the visible soot out of the exhaust. Modern diesels have made significant strides in this area. While it's true that visible soot, what some might refer to as rolling coal, is a concern, the more critical issue lies with the invisible pollutants. However, modern common rail diesel engines, even without emissions equipment, are cleaner than their predecessors. Despite this, it's important to note that these vehicles can still emit a small puff of visible smoke, particularly under hard acceleration after a lot of gentle driving. But this is minimal compared to older diesels or large trucks, where you can see soot out of the exhaust much more often. Just by observing, you can see the progress diesel technology has made in this time. In one of my other videos, I made this comparison. A dog has a larger carbon footprint each year compared to a diesel truck. Yet, you would never hear anyone shouting about saving the trees if they saw me walking my dog. This comparison shows the often skewed perspectives on environmental impact, where the focus can be misplaced or exaggerated depending on the subject matter. When discussing the environmental impact of vehicles, it's essential to consider the full life cycle of the vehicle. This includes the production process, transport of necessary fluids, wear and tear on tires, brake pads. All of these factors contribute to the real environmental footprint of a vehicle. Evaluating the true impact requires a holistic approach, looking beyond just the emissions from the tailpipe. A comprehensive perspective helps in understanding the broader implications of vehicle use and manufacturing, revealing the complexity of making environmentally conscious choices. It's not entirely fair to judge a vehicle solely on its environmental impact either. If environmental concerns are a priority for you, that's your right, but consistency in these judgments should extend to other areas as well. For example, people who snowblow their driveway, use a gasoline lawnmower, a chainsaw instead of an axe, or even own a pet. These all contribute to someone's carbon footprint. Focusing exclusively on the environmental impact of car A versus car B is overly simplistic and inconsistent. Additionally, there is an underlying stigma against Volkswagen as a whole, a topic I delve into in another video. Some people occupy a peculiar middle ground, claiming that TDIs are reliable while dismissing the rest of VW's lineup, and another faction believes that any VW with a turbo is problematic. These perceptions are often based on anecdotes, and as usual, the truth exists somewhere in the middle. Despite the varied perceptions and the stigmas, I firmly believe that TDIs are nearly perfect for daily drivers. Few other vehicles offer the same combination of efficiency, performance, and comfort. Being able to achieve over 55 miles per gallon with a chassis designed for the Autobahn and an interior that remains comfortable on long road trips, where you only need to refuel every 700 miles, TDIs provide a unique and highly practical driving experience. This blend of attributes makes them an excellent choice for those who value both efficiency and driving pleasure.